How much work have you lost because you forgot to save a Claude conversation somewhere you could find it again easily? Or worse, you copied the output, you switched to Dropbox, you pasted it, you realized you forgot the name you were going to call it, you went back to Claude and completely lost your train of thought. Today I'm going to show you how to tell Claude, save this to Dropbox in plain English, and Make.com handles the rest. No copy and paste, no switching apps, and no lost work. Without this, you risk losing data, killing your productivity, and pulling your hair out. I use this automation personally every single day. I'm in Claude a lot every day, and I really love this automation. But the problem is there's a lack of quality Make AI agent documentation, which made it really brutal to figure out on my own. I even started a video a couple days ago to show you how to do it, and I hit a massive roadblock, threw that video away, and had to work on it some more before I could actually show you how this works. I had to make it work first. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works. We'll cover how the automation works behind the scenes and how to use natural language commands and the file name conventions that organizes everything. You'll need a Make.com scenario, and I'll show you what it does and how to build it from scratch. By the end of this video, you'll be able to talk to Claude naturally, save this as my project notes, or save this and give it a file name, and your work automatically goes to a Dropbox folder of your choosing. No more lost conversations and no more context switching. Okay, let's talk about the tools we're going to use in this video. Get all on the same page here. We're going to use Claude AI. This is Anthropic's AI assistant. If you're watching this, you're probably already using it for research or content creation, or at least you're using something like ChatGPT. Make.com is a visual automation platform that connects apps together without using code. This Make AI agent bridges them together between Claude and Make, so you can trigger Dropbox files to be saved on command. Okay, so let me talk through exactly what we're going to build in this scenario so you know exactly what's going to happen. I have a chat here with Claude where I did some African elephant research. And so I said, research African elephants. Very general, very broad, and it brought me back some data. What I was able to do is say, save to Dropbox as African elephant research. And that's the file name that I wanted to give it. You notice I didn't have to format it. That's all going to be taken care of between AI and Make, and it's going to save this as a markdown file. What happens next is this is the step you're going to see kind of fly by. This is Claude preparing the data to send over to the Make AI agent. So here is the Make AI agent that I have set up. There's a system prompt here that frankly was my big roadblock of why I threw the first video of this away, because I wasn't getting the system prompt the way I wanted it to be. And so I had to actually go build a Claude project to build those, because this improve, when I tried to use it a couple days ago, it didn't even work. It just gave me an error that said, sorry, can't work. Let us work on it. We're going to use Claude to build this, and then we're going to put it in here as our system prompts. Now down here is one scenario that I've added. Yes, this is a very simple implementation of an AI agent. I wanted to keep this simple. For those of you maybe like me that are kind of wading into this for the first time, let's keep it simple. Let's master the basics, and then we can get more complicated with our agents. This is the scenario, and if I jump over here, it looks like this. This starts a scenario. This is the data coming from Claude. It uploads to Dropbox, and then it sends data back to Claude with this module here. We're going to look at this in more detail. And then it's going to drop the file into whatever Dropbox folder you suggest. Now you can give it a parent folder and say, create a new folder and put it in there, or figure out the folder you want it to go in there. In this case, again, just to keep it simple and to eliminate as many variables as possible, I'm telling it to save it in a particular folder in Dropbox. So after the first failed version of this video, I went over to Claude and I built a project that would create system prompts for AI agents. And what I started with is as much research as I could do about AI agents with prompts, and pulled it in here, and I said, okay, I want you to help me write these prompts so that they work better than what I can write myself. So I have two projects that I use to do this. First is my project building project for Claude. You can find the instructions for that and all of these resources in the public GitHub repository folder that is linked in this video. So that is the how to create a project with a project, and then this is the project that came from that. So I will also share the instructions for this, and where that goes, if you go back to the main page, is right here in instructions. This is what makes this work. So this is a long prompt here with all kinds of details, the things you want it to say, and that goes up here in the system instructions. I've also added a writing effective system prompts for Make.com AI agents. This is the original research that I got. See, there's quite a bit here. I will include that as well. So I included that raw research as a text file as a part of this project, but then I use that to create the instructions. So this has done a pretty good job just in my limited use of building this a couple days ago. Both of these instructions and this file will be available in the GitHub repository. Now, I don't want to bore you by watching me prompt and build this, but basically, here's what I said. I want to create an AI agent that will call a Make.com scenario and save the data to Dropbox. If a file name is provided, use that. Otherwise, name the file automatically. I wanted it to create a file name if I forgot, or I wanted to, if I have really specific file name, I wanted to be able to give it to that. Here's the blueprint of the scenario we will be calling. So I actually built the scenario first, downloaded the blueprint, and dropped it in here. It has the instructions on how to write it. It has the blueprint of the scenario that I've built, so it knows what's going on in Make. And then it wrote a pretty good system prompt for my AI agent. Did a pretty good job. So all of this will be in the GitHub repository. You can grab that and put that into your Claude. And then when I was done, I dropped it right into here into the system prompts. Now, down here is my scenario. And the way you add one of those is you click Add, tap Scenario. And then this is important. It has to be on demand or a webhook. You can't have a scheduled scenario that's running. It has to be one of those two triggers. So if you look over here at my scenario real quick, this little arrow, this means it's an on-demand scenario. So it is never going to run until something actually reaches out and says, hey, I need to trigger you to run and do something for me. And that's going to be done by Claude. So you select your scenario here. It's just a drop down. And this is all of the scenarios you have that are webhook or on-demand scenarios. So you can search by name or ID right here. So this one's already added. Let's go look at that. If you click this right here, you can go look at it. Let's look at the gear first. And so what this is, it's just a short description that tells the system, this is what this scenario is meant to do. Now we're going to click on this arrow right here, and we're going to open up the scenario. And this is essentially a one module scenario, but we have the inputs coming from Claude and the outputs going back to Claude. So that's the purpose of these two purple ones. What you want to do is you have to manage the data that you're receiving from Claude. So let me go show you in my system prompt here, down at the bottom, right here, tool usage. Call the Dropbox to save tool with two parameters, file name and document data. So Claude's going to send data, and then that has to match over in Make. So the scenario inputs are right down here, this little icon here. I'm not even sure what to call it. So here are inputs and outputs. So we're going to go here to our inputs, and we're going to expand this, and you can see file name that exactly matches this name here, and this one should be document data with capital D's and an underscore. We look down here, document data with underscores and capital D's. Now, you cannot put spaces in these. If you want a space, you need to put an underscore, or you just need to keep it without spaces. So what we have here is our file name. It is text. We're not going to put a default value in. It is required. Means if it doesn't come through, it's not going to run. And our second one is document data. It's text, and it is required, and it's multi-line. So those are the two inputs that are coming in. Remember, we don't have a module in front of our Dropbox module giving us the inputs. It's coming from somewhere else. And so we have to just define this. Claude knows what to send, and then it grabs this and runs it through. Okay, so just for another safety and a check here, I said I only want this to run if the document data and file name exist. This filter is redundant because in our step one, we're saying both of those have to be required anyway. But I just put this in here just in the off chance it runs anyway and doesn't have that data. All right, so here's our Dropbox setup. Pretty straightforward connection. If you don't have a connection to Dropbox yet, you'll have to click Add, or you can use an existing connection. And then again, I am mapping this to a specific folder. My use case for this is I want to save my Claude project instructions in Dropbox. Right now, all of my projects have instructions that are only saved in Claude, and I need to start saving those in Dropbox to have a backup of those. This is the final use case for what we're doing here. I know we're going to be talking about Asian elephants and African elephant research and that kind of thing. That's just a test to get that in there. But that's really the use case, is I want to save these project instructions. And again, that goes back to my project that I use to create projects. I'm going to say those instructions in there, and then I'll copy and paste them into a new project. So we're going to map here. So we have file name. The file name is right there. It's coming from that first module. You're going to map this basically the same as you normally do. And then document data is going to get dragged into here. Save that. And then this is our output. What we're going to do with our output is recently, and I think this came about because of AI agents, we have this top option here that's a bundle, and it just sends everything. You don't have to map everything. It just sends the world. All of this data here gets sent with one variable in this output. So that's what we're going to put in there. It's more data than Claude really needs, but that's the easiest way to get it to Claude. One thing about outputs, when you're sending data to Claude, you can only have one output. First one of these I built a few months ago. I had like 3 or 4 outputs and send this to Claude, and it just wouldn't work. And so I got rid of all but one output, and it worked. Again, I couldn't find that in documentation anywhere. But your output, when you're sending back to Claude, you only get one variable and one variable only. So that is our scenario. I'll also drop this scenario blueprint in the repo that's linked in this video. So next I want to show you how to connect your AI agent to Claude. So we're going to go right over here. We're going to click here and go to settings. We're going to go to connectors. So I'm going to delete my save project instructions to Dropbox connection here. I'm going to remove that, disconnect. All right, now it's gone. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy one of these. So I only need one URL going to Claude from Make. And so that's my MCP server. I'm sending everything through that, but I can define what scenarios show up for that connection. So I'm going to copy this URL right here, and I'm going to say add custom connector, and I'm going to say YouTube test. And I'm going to show you what this looks like when you put the entire URL in there. Under advanced settings, you'll get a message that says confirm that you trust this connector, and you can just go ahead and click add. So I have my MCP server URL that I got from my Make API key page. There's probably great videos on how to do that, but that's where you go and get this URL. And I'm going to click add. So it's called YT test. Now, if I go launch a new chat here, I want to show you why I didn't do it like this. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go down to YT test, and you can see here we have 10 of 40 that are turned on. All right, these are all scenarios from my clients, from all teams. Like this is madness. I don't want all of these as options in Claude. So there's another way you can do this. So let's go back to settings and connectors, and I'm going to get rid of that guy. I'm going to copy this URL again. Now I've dropped the tail end of this URL in here so I could show it to you. At the end of your MCP server URL, it's got your ID and everything. It's got a /SSE, and then what I've been adding is scenario ID numbers, and it limits what shows up for that connection. So you can see here I have scenario ID, I have square brackets, and then here's a scenario ID. So this is not the scenario ID I want. I'm going to go back up here, and this is the scenario. It ends in 702. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that right there. So if I want to include another scenario in this, I can just copy this, and then I'm going to do an ampersand and paste, and then I can put the next number of the scenario in here that I want. Now, when I create this connection in Claude, it'll show 2 scenarios. If you're using the same MCP server connection, like the URL for each of these, you can just copy this and then go paste it into Notepad and just edit that. And then I'm going to go here, I'm going to add custom connector. So I'm going to call that PROJ instruct to Dropbox. That's about all that's going to show in Claude for this name. So then I'm going to tab here and I'm going to paste my URL. All right, so now project instruction Dropbox. I've created a new chat here, and I'm going to go right here on this little button, and I'm going to see here project instruction Dropbox. And if I go over here, there is one scenario there. So I can turn this entire thing off out here. And what I would recommend you do is, if you have a grouping of scenarios that are similar, that you'd add them in groups. For example, if there's something else I wanted to do with a make MCP server, an AI agent that was related to project instructions, I would add it in this same one. Out here on this screen, I can turn it off and on really easily because there's only one scenario in there. So we have this turned on. I'm going to turn off extended thinking. Web search is on. All right. Research largemouth bass. I'm a little bit in a fishy mood today. So we're going to see the research this brings back, just going and returning some output based on what it's searching on the web. And when we get done, we're going to save this to our Dropbox folder. Okay, so here's our research about largemouth bass, quite a bit there. So I'm going to say, save this to Dropbox as largemouth bass research for YouTube. Okay, so here is what it's going to send to make. So you can see our file name here. It has created that, took that from my name there. Here's the document data. So this is the file name of the document data that's being sent to that first module of our scenario. Here is the data. So it gave it a title based on my file name that I gave it. And then here is all the research in Markdown format, and it's still generating that. All right, so there's the end of our JSON. So this is ready to go. When I click allow once, it's going to jump over to make and run it and then bring back the data from make. I have this set up to allow once, and if you do that, you can just hit enter at this point. You can always allow, which I tend to not do that. I don't trust Claude just that much quite yet. If you do, by all means, set it to always allow, then you wouldn't see this step. So I'm going to hit enter, and then I'm going to jump over here, and we can see make is running, and now it's done. So let's jump back over to Claude. Successfully save your largemouth bass project to Dropbox. Now we're back over here in Dropbox, and you see there it is, largemouth bass researched for YouTube. So this is the result. Now, one of the things I will point out is I was expecting this to come back all lowercase with hyphens. This is a little tweaking I'll need to do with either my make scenario or my make AI agent system prompt. It's a little bit of a dance between the two and between Claude. What's Claude sending? What's the AI agent taking, doing? And then what's happening in this scenario. So sometimes you have to bounce across those three entities to troubleshoot this. But the last 3 times I ran this, it gave me lowercase, hyphenated, and this time it gave me exactly as I typed it. It did save the file. That's kind of a minor thing. The other thing I want to add is a date to the beginning of these files so I can know when they were generated. Again, that's just a little bit of tweaking. I could even do that in make with a function in front of the file name, and that would take care of that as well. So you've just learned how to save Claude outputs to Dropbox using standard English commands and using an AI agent with make and a make scenario. This should take 30 to 60 minutes to set up, depending how many roadblocks or issues you run into. Hopefully I provided you enough information to get you around most of those roadblocks, but there may be things that come up. And if they do, drop me a comment below and I'll try to help you as much as I can over YouTube troubleshoot those. You're always welcome to book a call with me at weblytica.com where we can work through this with you as well. If this video was valuable to you, tell YouTube that by giving me a like and subscribe if you want more videos about AI and automation in the future. I appreciate you watching. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.